Today, we're delving into a fascinating conversation featuring renowned political scientist John Mearsheimer on the Lex Fridman Podcast. From the dynamics of global power to insights on immigration, get ready for a journey through thought-provoking discussions. If you're curious about the future of nations, career advice, and life reflections, you're in for a treat. Stick around for some captivating moments from the podcast that will leave you with new perspectives and fresh insights. Let's dive in. States care deeply about power in international relations, as there's no higher authority. Power maximization enhances survival prospects. Power in international relations is a function of population size and wealth, with these factors underpinning a state's influence. Anarchy in international politics, as explained by Thomas Hobbes, leads states to compete for power to ensure survival. The will to power in individuals is psychological, while on a national level, it's driven by structural factors and the anarchic international system. Military might is crucial on a national level. Large populations and wealth lead to powerful military capabilities, ensuring survival. States, driven by the anarchic system, seek dominance to enhance survival. Historical examples like the rise of the US illustrate this pursuit. Offensive realism, contrasting with liberal perspectives, asserts that states are driven by power-seeking behavior due to anarchy in the system. Democratic peace theory suggests democracies don't fight each other, fostering a more peaceful world as liberal democracies trust each other's intentions. Economic interdependence theory argues that economic ties prevent wars, as nations won't harm a prosperous relationship. Liberal institutionalism asserts that rule-abiding states and international institutions lead to a more peaceful world. Economic prosperity doesn't always prevent war. The structural drive for survival can override economic interests, as seen before World War I. Structural realists, like Mearsheimer, focus on the impact of the anarchic system on competition, distinguishing from human nature realists. Nazi Germany's aggression attributed to structural considerations, Hitler's role viewed as a congenital aggressor within a structural framework. Resentment over the Versailles Treaty contributed to Hitler's rise, but once in power, structural considerations and a will to power influenced his actions. Hitler's rise to power involved multiple factors, including resentment, will to power, and charisma, but structural forces were a significant driving factor. Hitler's popularity in Nazi Germany was fueled by economic recovery, charisma, and being perceived as the leader who lifted the country out of the Depression. Historical events, including Hitler's actions, are multidimensional. Realism answers questions about security competition and great power wars. Offensive realism explains Hitler's decision to attack the Soviet Union based on the belief in a quick and decisive victory. The discussion shifts to World War II, highlighting the close calls and strategic decisions, particularly regarding the invasion of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union's resilience in World War II is attributed to the threat of genocide by the Germans, motivating soldiers to fight fiercely. The invasion of Ukraine in 2022 is discussed, challenging the narrative that Putin aimed to conquer the entire country. NATO expansion and negotiations play a crucial role. NATO expansion is viewed as a significant threat by Russia, with historical context provided, emphasizing the West's role in the conflict. Putin's aspiration for imperial conquest or reuniting the former Soviet Union is debunked, focusing on the acceptance of the USSR's breakup and concerns about NATO expansion. Evaluating Putin's leadership, there is no evidence of power corruption. He is considered a formidable strategist prioritizing Russia's security. Putin faced a weakened Russia after the decade of national humiliation, requiring cautious handling of a weak hand. The US, being a unipole, held significant power until 2017, making it less vulnerable than Russia, leading to different security perspectives. Americans may struggle to empathize with Russia's sensitivity on Ukraine due to historical vulnerabilities and geopolitical concerns. Strategists should consider alternate perspectives, like viewing the US as the bad guys, to avoid making foolish mistakes in international politics. Michael McFaul's assurance to Putin on NATO expansion didn't align with Putin's perception, highlighting the importance of understanding the adversary's viewpoint. NATO expansion stemmed from a belief that it promoted peace, and countries like Ukraine had the right to join, reflecting a powerful and assertive stance. Mearsheimer foresees a frozen conflict in Ukraine, with ongoing security competition and potential for escalation even with a ceasefire. Mearsheimer suggests the U.S. involvement impedes peace talks, and without American influence, Zelensky and Putin might have a chance at meaningful dialogue. For a potential deal, Ukraine needs to become neutral, sever security ties with the West, and accept the territorial status quo, but EU expansion remains a challenge. Trust is eroded due to the Minsk agreements, impacting the potential for leaders to pick up the phone, and individual relations may not override structural distrust. Removing Putin may not lead to a more peaceful outcome. His replacement could be more hawkish, and leadership matters in navigating international conflicts. Interviewing Putin could involve questioning past decisions, exploring future strategies, and understanding his perspectives on global relations and conflicts. Keeping nuclear weapons could deter adversaries, as in the case of Ukraine and Russia in the 90s. Bill Clinton now acknowledges a mistake in pressuring Ukraine to give up its nuclear weapons. Mutual assured destruction, MAD, with nuclear weapons reduces the likelihood of great power aggression. In a mad world, nuclear weapons can be used for risk manipulation and demonstration purposes. If Russia were losing in Ukraine, limited nuclear use might be employed for risk manipulation. Lack of experience in nuclear conflict escalation makes it a theoretical and terrifying prospect. Communication between leaders is crucial to prevent unintended consequences in nuclear conflicts. Hamas attacked Israel due to a suffocating occupation, resistance to Israeli dominance. The high civilian death toll makes a two-state solution and peace more challenging in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Political shifts in Israel and recent conflicts make a two-state solution less likely in the near future. Continuous conflict may not be the intention of those in power, but it serves to maintain Israeli dominance. Military solutions won't subdue Palestinians. A political solution, like a two-state agreement, is necessary for lasting peace. Israel faces a dilemma: pursue a two-state solution or risk becoming an apartheid state. The hate generated by civilian deaths makes achieving a two-state solution in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict challenging. The Israel lobby argues that a powerful lobby influences U.S. policy, pushing a pro-Israel stance, limiting discourse on the issue. Motivation of the lobby: mainly nationalism, not religion. It wants unwavering U.S. support for Israel. Criticizing Israel or the lobby doesn't equate to anti-Semitism. The lobby aims to silence open discourse on Israel's actions and influence. The lobby's goal is to prevent open discourse, hindering discussions on Israel's actions and the lobby's influence on U.S. policy. Discussing Israel and the lobby is complicated, involving genuine criticism, avoiding anti-Semitic stereotypes, and maintaining healthy discourse. Genocide is a term used too loosely today. Accusations of genocide against Israel are criticized, with the speaker considering Israel's actions in Gaza a massacre but not genocide. Israel's actions in Gaza are condemned as a massacre, not genocide. The speaker criticizes Israel for targeting civilians, emphasizing the moral and strategic downsides of such a campaign. Israel's strategy in Gaza, known as the Iron Wall, aims to subdue the population and destroy Hamas. However, the speaker argues that this approach is misguided and will not lead to long-term stability. Israel's bombing campaign after October 7 is criticized as counterproductive. The speaker suggests that the strategy damages Israel's reputation globally and highlights the shift in public opinion against Israel. Diplomatic solutions are proposed as alternatives to military actions. The speaker suggests that the U.S. could leverage its ethical standing for peace agreements and use diplomatic pressure on Israel. Taiwan's strategic importance to the U.S. is emphasized, primarily for maintaining a balance of power in East Asia and preserving the U.S. alliance structure in the region. The speaker argues that the U.S. must deter China from invading Taiwan to avoid war and maintain regional stability, highlighting the importance of controlling Taiwan to prevent Chinese dominance in Asia. Mearsheimer suggests containing China but avoiding provocation and smartly building military forces. Mearsheimer challenges the idea that a bigger military is necessary to deter China, emphasizing the importance of avoiding a war over Taiwan. Mearsheimer, not framing it as good versus bad, expresses the desire for the US to dominate the Western Hemisphere while preventing China from dominating Asia. Mearsheimer envisions intense security competition but cautions against direct US-China war, foreseeing proxy wars in regions like the Middle East. Possibility discussed of a US-China proxy conflict, speculating regions like the Gulf and the Middle East, involving countries like Israel and Iran. Mearsheimer discusses the cultural gap between the US and China, emphasizing the importance of understanding each other to de-escalate conflicts. Mearsheimer discusses the role of rhetoric in subtly rattling the nuclear sword for deterrence, citing Putin's effective use of nuclear threats. Mearsheimer clarifies his definition of empire and discusses the collapse of empires due to nationalism and the changing dynamics of the Industrial Revolution. John Mearsheimer discusses the driving forces of the 19th and 20th centuries, nationalism and the Industrial Revolution, shaping the course of nations. Mearsheimer emphasizes the importance of population size and wealth as key elements of power. Analyzing demographics and wealth helps predict a country's future influence. Mearsheimer observes global depopulation trends, highlighting the role of immigration in the United States. He stresses immigration as a historical strength, dispelling concerns about depopulation. The conversation shifts to the success of integrating immigrants in the U.S. Mearsheimer credits America's ability to embrace diversity and promote intermarriage for its strength and resilience. Mearsheimer contrasts historical discrimination against earlier immigrant groups with the successful integration of Hispanics and Asians in contemporary America. Reflecting on immigration, Mearsheimer underscores its importance for America's future growth. He suggests that America's demographic shift is inevitable and should be embraced. Mearsheimer advises young people to pursue what genuinely interests them, emphasizing the importance of a balance between hubris and humility for personal growth and success. For the full podcast, check out the link in the description.